When my boss looked me straight in the eye and told me I was not qualified for the promotion I had spent years building, I did not argue. I smiled, handed over my employee badge, and walked out of the office without looking back. 3 days later, I turned my phone on and found more than 90 missed calls. My former company was collapsing, my family was panicking, and the people who betrayed me suddenly realized they had made the biggest mistake of their lives. My name is Claire, and for years I believed hard work would eventually speak for itself. I stayed late, solved impossible problems, covered for incompetent coworkers, and sacrificed my own happiness to keep both my job and my family together. The biggest mistake I ever made was believing loyalty would be returned. Instead, it became the very weapon people used against me. The promotion should have been mine. I had designed every process, improved every department, and even built the software system that kept the entire company running. But instead of rewarding my work, the executives handed the position to my brother-in-law, Marcus. He had charm, confidence, and one special talent. He knew how to take credit for work he never did. For 2 years, I quietly fixed his mistakes while he accepted the praise. When the promotion was announced, he smiled at me and said I would still be useful handling the boring work behind the scenes. That was the moment I understood this was never about performance. It was planned from the beginning. The night before the promotion, my mother had called and demanded I step aside. She said Marcus needed the higher salary because my sister was pregnant and they wanted to buy a bigger house. According to her, I was single and had no family, so sacrificing my future was simply my responsibility. I refused, but my family found another way. They convinced the executives that Marcus deserved the job while expecting me to continue doing all the real work without recognition. Instead of arguing, I resigned. Before leaving, I quietly opened my laptop and revoked access to the routing software the company depended on every hour of every day. Nobody knew the truth. I had created the system on my own time, using my own equipment through my own registered business. The company never paid for it. They had only been using it under a free license that I could cancel whenever I wanted. 10 keystrokes later, the software was disconnected forever. I packed my belongings, ignored every threat from my boss, and drove home. He promised to destroy my career and make sure nobody ever hired me again. I simply smiled because he had no idea his company could not function without technology they never actually owned. For 3 peaceful days, I ignored my phone, relaxed, read books, and finally slept without stress. When I turned my phone back on Monday morning, it exploded with notifications. Executives, board members, Marcus, my parents, and human resources had all been calling nonstop. The freight network had completely failed. Trucks were stranded, customers were furious, and the company was losing millions every hour. A few minutes later, my family showed up at my apartment demanding I fix everything. Marcus stormed inside screaming that I needed to restore the system immediately. My mother insisted family always comes first. My father ordered me to hand over my laptop. My sister cried and blamed me for ruining her future. They acted like I owed them another sacrifice. For the first time in my life, I refused. I calmly explained the software belonged to my private company, not my former employer. I had every legal right to remove it. Marcus threatened lawsuits in prison, but he had no idea the law was actually on my side. When my father demanded my laptop, I held up my phone, dialed 911, and gave everyone 30 seconds to leave my apartment. Suddenly, their confidence disappeared. They rushed out before the police could arrive. The next morning, I met with my attorney, who confirmed everything I had done was completely legal. Then he uncovered something even worse. While reviewing the system logs, he discovered Marcus had secretly been stealing tiny amounts of money from the company's largest client. Individually, the amounts were almost impossible to notice, but together they totaled more than $1.2 million. The money was waiting to be transferred into an offshore account. Everything suddenly made sense. Marcus had not wanted the promotion because of the salary. He needed the higher security clearance to complete the theft and planned to blame me when the missing money was discovered. My resignation had accidentally trapped him before he could finish the crime. Soon after, my former boss emailed demanding I appear before the executive board, restore the software, and sign over ownership of my intellectual property. If I refused, he threatened criminal charges. Instead of being afraid, my attorney smiled. The email itself was proof they were trying to extort me. The next morning, I walked into the boardroom carrying a heavy binder filled with patents, copyrights, licensing agreements, server logs, and financial records. Everyone expected me to surrender. Instead, I placed the binder on the table and calmly explained that I owned every line of code they depended on. Their lawyers verified the documents and immediately realized the company had no legal claim to my software. Then I revealed the evidence of Marcus stealing over $1 million from their biggest client. The room fell silent. My boss looked terrified. The lawyers stopped defending him and Marcus turned pale. In just a few minutes, every lie they built their careers on collapsed. They thought they had destroyed my future. Instead, they destroyed their own. Sometimes the strongest revenge is not getting even. It is simply walking away, knowing the truth will finish the job for you.